Welcome to Monster Men.
And I don't growl when we have special guests on, and we have a very special guest. Is that a good Casey Kasem? I don't know.
It is. You know, our guest can arg if he wants.
Gonna do a goddamn death dedication. We are joined tonight by horror, I gotta say, aficionado. Because when I think of people who like really know the genre, Matt Serafini is right at the top of the list. Author, screenwriter. I mean, you have contributed to, I think, just about every awesome horror magazine at some point. And you're just the man. You're one of the nicest guys in horror.
Oh,
well, seriously, like if I saw like a Twitter blow up something that you're at the center of a maelstrom, I'd be like, I give up on life. That's it. I'm done. So
no pressure.
None whatsoever. Behave yourself.
I got to be on my best behavior from now until death. Okay.
I'm fully convinced Twitter doesn't pay attention to me because I should have been canceled about 700 times. But yet,
Twitter doesn't pay attention to anybody anymore. Like it's
that's true.
It's it's like, and I've been talking about this a little bit as my book has sort of touches on that kind of stuff. But I would say now I'm hearing from people, whether you like it or not, in its newer iteration, it just doesn't work that well anymore. Like it's like people are being paid to just post gibberish, and it's like nothing nutritious. It's all kind of just empty calories, like hot takes or just literal like dumb trivia that we've all heard a million times or whatever it is. And if you're not paying, like you're not getting that extra little boost, although I hear that little extra boost doesn't really help that much anyway. And it just isn't that useful these days. And that's separate from like, cause I know people that like the new direction of it in some ways. And I know people that are really disaffected by it. It's kind of like, it's not the best, it's like my reach, I think you have to pay for analytics now, but it's like, I remember like looking at my analytics right before they put it behind a paywall. And it was like, when the new owner took over, it's like my reach went down. It was like 96% drop in
Holy
engagement.
Cow.
I was just like, this doesn't make me want to buy into like new Twitter. It's like,
shadow banned.
I think it's when you log in, like the first thing I get is like Elon Musk's tweets.
You always do.
I don't follow him and I don't care what he has to say. And then there's like 6 other people who I don't follow that I'm like, I keep checking. I'm like, do I follow this person? Why do I know every single thing this person? And I like purposely like turn my eyes and scroll away. I'm like, I don't even want to know what you have to say.
I just keep getting girls who say, do you like girls with glasses? I'm like, well, why is this on here?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's just like, that's what it is now. It's just like I said, it's like empty calories. It's like the stuff that rises to the top is just kind of engagement farming. It's like, that stupid one that just seems to go on forever is that like, it's a movie one where they have a picture of Jeff Daniels from Speed, where like, spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, right before he blows up. And it's like every couple of weeks somebody will post that and go, what's the best I'm dead and I know it face in movie?
I see that.
And it's just like, I see that every couple of weeks, and there's hundreds of those that just somebody will repost it and people just respond and it keeps going. And it's kind of like
if I post the same question, like one person will respond, and it's
crickets.
One of the folks that's been following us forever. Then I'm like, okay, thank you. But
by the way, this is like perfect segue because your book Feeders, which is coming out May 20th?
Yeah, like a week and a half. Yeah.
Whew. So there's a tie-in with the book and social media.
Big time. Yeah, it's about a insidious social media app that rewards bad behavior. And you like might say, yes, there you go. When I originally wrote it, it was a little more subtle. The funny thing about it is just that the last 2-3 years has kind of, I think, it's exacerbated that point. like these various platforms have kind of proven my point, where it's like, and it's not just Twitter, there's obviously there's endless conversations about Instagram being detrimental to your health because of, especially, there's studies done that show young girls feel terrible about, body images, or just they feel like they should be more successful, have more followers, and then
be
TikTok's
happier.
Yeah. So it's sort of, it was all sort of that. I kind of sat down to write this book years ago thinking, I don't think this is good for any of us, and what happened was I was starting to see just various people in my life that don't know each other. It's not like they're all connected, but I just kind of started to see people, they call it crashing out, where it's just like, these people are losing their minds in different ways, over different things. But the one kind of uniting factor was they're very online in whatever way. It wasn't always Twitter, wasn't always Instagram or whatever, but they were extremely online. And I once I started to see that happen to several different people, I was like, the really creepy thing. And I was in marketing at one point in my life, and I would hear you'd be on these marketing summit calls, or you'd go to a summit and you'd hear these social media people talking about, well, we want you on our platform all day and night. We don't want you to leave. Yeah. And, you just realized we are all victims in some way of the algorithm. The algorithm wants us, it's showing us what will make us angry or excited or nervous or just emotionally engaged. So we stay there scrolling, doom scrolling, or whatever you call it. And that was sort of the start of it, where I was just like, I'm going to write about this, because it's social media in horror to me has always been so far. And there's probably examples that it go beyond this. So, but for me, I was always like, every movie that I've watched, it's always boils down to the influencer is crazy. And it's like, yes, that's true, but in a way they're a victim too. We're all victims to the insidious algorithm. And so that was kind of that was the beginnings of it.
Yeah, I think I used to be in market research. So was Jack when we worked together.
Oh, so
I remember somebody talking about how that these social media companies were contacting the Vegas people, the people who create these slot machines and this addictive behavior. Yeah. And we're kind of getting a lot of input on how to do that, just to keep you locked onto your phone or your computer and just forget that you have life. By the way, this is the worst thing. I read this today in the paper. This is horror. This is a potential book. They don't know who's doing it, but I don't know if you noticed in especially Instagram, TikTok, there's been feeds of girls wearing next to nothing, having these bodies that don't look like real bodies, that have Down syndrome. And saying, hey, would you get with me just, because I have Down syndrome, or would you say no? And it leads people to these OnlyFans accounts and Fansly, whatever. And people are signing up in droves. It's all fake.
Oh, yes. Yes. There's like a filter.
Yeah.
Yes. I did see that. Yeah.
You're about as low as you could go at this point when you're creating phony Down syndrome softcore porn to get people addicted.
Yeah, it's just bad. There's always going to be another trend that people are hopping on, and it's, there is no bottom, unfortunately.
See, that's the thing. You and I could come up with something. We got this book about the absolute worst you can be, and we'll be like, before we're done with the second chapter, we see real life just going even dumber and lower than we could conceive.
Oh, it's true.
On the pro side, though, I really feel like on Facebook, you can definitely convince people of your political views by having arguments with them.
It's a good way to weed out family and friends, and coworkers.
God, Facebook, I just feel like I still am on there, but I threw in that towel back in I don't know, 2012 or something, 2011. That's
oh, wow.
I'm still on there, but I use it to just kind of make a stupid joke. And,
I posted something on my Facebook page for the first time in 6 months.
Yeah. See,
so
once in a while, I post something funny. But I mean, there was a day where you used to actually share like, hey, I'm here and I'm doing this and stuff. And now you're just like, I don't even want to go near it.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares
we were
anymore.
talking about that on another show, another podcast I just did, where we're talking about how the vibes of Facebook originally were so innocent because she I was books in the freezer, and Stephanie had reminded me that, when it started, it was all like, your name is, what are you doing? And it would be like, is waiting in line at Dunks or something like that. And like, it was just supposed to be this stupid, like, oh yeah, like, we're all kind of connected together doing, the mundanities of life kind of thing. And it got away from that.
Well, I try to keep my Facebook page as mundane as humanly possible. I'm sticking to the original charter.
Remember the good old days when they had those games everybody would play where it's like name.
Yes.
Yeah. Trivia.
Do you rather have potato chips or sunflower seeds, or
yep,
iced tea or lemonade? Like, and you'd fill it out and then tag other people and they would do it. Now somebody sends me that and I'm like, block.
Go away.
Everything is spam now. It's like you're like instantly hostile to everything. It's like funny.
Click here to subscribe. What?
No.
I'm not gonna like your page. Block. Like everything.
So what's the name of your book and when is it coming out again?
The book is called Feeders, and it is out in May 20th. So
who's it out with? I forget.
It's Gallery Books. Yeah.
All right. That's all. I cannot wait to read this book.
I like it. It's good. It's definitely probably my favorite of my books. So I'm proud of it.
The timing's perfect because I'm going to buy it that weekend, that week when it comes out, because the pool opens where we are in our little community. That's going to be my first sitting by the pool read.
I think you'll like it.
Weekend.
They let me get away with some stuff in there that I was surprised about. So it's I'm happy with it.
Now, you picked a pretty awesome topic for a show like this. But before we get into that, well, we can say what the topic is, but we really need to know a quick 1,000-foot view of your genesis as a horror fan, because I feel like you're kindred spirits with us too.
Okay, high level view. My mom would buy me horror paperbacks at yard sales, like going back to like me being in 4th grade. And one of the first ones, of course, it was a bunch of Stephen King. And so that was part of it. But one of the first ones was also F. Paul Wilson's The Keep.
Oh, wow. For a little kid?
Yeah, I read that pretty early. And I loved it. It was like, to me, it was, my only exposure really, I think I read it in like 5th grade, right? So to me, the only exposure I probably had to like Nazis and stuff back then was like Indiana Jones. Right. So to me, it was like this riveting story of like, World War II and reading and the way that Paul mixed like the history with mythology and, these religious things. And it was just, I mean, I've read it many times since because I think it's one of the best books ever. So I always go back to it. But that book really held me as a kid. And I remember I didn't really understand everything, but I read all the way through, and I followed the basics of it well enough, and I absolutely loved it. So that was on the book side. Around the same time, my dad would always take me to the video store on the weekend, and in 5th grade, one day my dad he says, "Hey, it was a good one," and he takes Halloween off the shelf, and he goes, I saw this in the theater. You could watch this," and we rented that, and of course my mother was like, "What did you rent?" Like she was pissed, and that was the beginning of it. Like I was obsessed. I actually think what happened was he had let me watch Halloween 2 on like Shocktober or whatever, like WLVI, like I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so he stayed up and watched it with me on cable, with the commercials and stuff. And then I think what happened was like that weekend he was like, "Hey, here it is. Here's the first one." I think that's what it was, and that's why he picked it off the shelf.
Good man.
But And that was the beginning. And then every weekend we'd go, and I would just want to rent, all the Friday the 13th, and then, Phantasm. And it was just, from there, it was everything. I was all over that store, bottom shelf, whatever.
My dad used to be like, for weekends, it was one for you, one for me. So he would pick like the Night Porter or some foreign thing. I'd be like, okay, basket case. I don't give a crap. Watch it with your friends. And then he was like, as soon as I was old enough, he was like, here's your own card. You got money. Go get whatever you want. So I would rent, like, especially once I met my wife in the 80s, we were renting 7 movies at a time. And we just watch them all weekend long. It was great.
It was great too, because you didn't know. You had to, it was a leap of faith back then.
Yeah. Oh, that cover looks awesome.
It was 2.
Yeah, and then it's honeymoon horror.
Yeah.
Microwave Massacre.
I don't know how old you are compared to being Hunter, but in the 70s, you had whatever was on TV, whether it was a movie, a real movie that was on TV, or a made-for-TV movie. And the 70s were spectacular for that. Then the 80s came, and 2 things happened. We finally got cable, and videotape happened. So if you weren't going to the video store, they were showing like Leviathan 6 times a week, or you'd catch, Friday the 13th is on at 9:00 on Friday, So those forces of going to pick something out, and then what just happened to be on, especially the later at night you got, like this magic time where, you either took a chance on the box, or you just were flicking and stopped at something, and you didn't even know the hell you were watching until afterwards when the credits came on.
Yeah.
Which was also cool, because I think you appreciate the movie more when you're like, number one, when it was the only thing on. And number 2, you're like, well, I don't even know what the hell this is, but I'm going to watch it. It makes it more interesting in some ways.
And you're more, I don't know, when you got to get up off your butt, get in a car or get on your bike, go to a video store, spend time, get something, rent it, bring it back. That's investment.
Yeah.
When you're more invested, I don't know. That's why all that stuff, even if it's crap, it holds something in my heart. All those movies hold a little tiny space in my heart. Whereas streaming now, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, well, it's like now, if you're not into it in 10 minutes, you turn it off. But if you had to go and get it and bring it back, and you're like, I'm not turning, this is what I picked. For better or worse, I'm locked in.
Your way out was to fall asleep during it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all I have for the weekend. I got to watch this movie.
Well, that's what it is. And I actually think, for me, I actually think it might have been 4th grade, because 4th grade for me would have been like 88. And because I remember already being familiar with like Nightmare on Elm Street. And because I remember watching the Freddy's Nightmares show. I remember staying up on the weekend to watch that. So it would have been like, and it wasn't like, oh, I don't know what this is. I already had seen the first couple of those movies. So yeah, I mean, for me, and the big one for me was USA Up All Night and Saturday Nightmares. Those were phenomenal. It was just, used to just let the tape run. And then the next day I'd be like, what did I get? What did I get? What's on here? And there was some weird shit on there. It was all cut to hell, but like,
yeah, it's like an hour movie by the time they're done.
It was like an hour movie with like another hour of commercials was basically what it was. And it was insane. But I remember there's one movie on there. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine about it that I've wanted to go back and rewatch. I haven't seen it since then. And it was called Grotesque, and it had Linda Blair in it.
Oh, I don't think I know that movie.
Okay. I bet you'd like it. Do you remember it, Jack? Do you remember that one?
No. I feel like I've seen that name before, but
we've been called that.
From my memory, the premise is like these punk, like actual like 80s punks, like the full dues and everything.
Yeah.
Go out into the wilderness somewhere to like rob up a house or something. And they end up robbing a house where there is like a deranged mutant freak in the basement or something. And then it sort of becomes like a slasher movie. as like they're picked off by this guy that's dwelling there. But I mean, it's literally been, since the 80s. So I'm like, I want to watch that again pretty bad. And I've been thinking about it for off and on for a couple of years now. So I got to actually track that one down.
It's got to be somewhere.
The
right?
Linda Blair non-Exorcist movie that I have a distinct memory of was my grandmother lived in the Bronx. So I was down there, and my uncle had a baby. So I had my little baby cousin, and then everybody's in the other room, and I'm in the room with the TV, and I'm just flicking around, and the baby's like nodding off. So I think it was Hell Night is called.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Linda Blair. That I watched Linda Blair with my little baby cousin, like sleeping, and I'm just like, this is awesome. This movie is like, because you didn't see Linda Blair in a lot of other stuff. So
right.
No.
I like that movie a lot, actually. That's what also has like kind of mutant freakish killers in it.
Yeah. I saw that in the theater like 8 years ago at Alamo Draft House. They had like a 3 movie. They used to do like 3 horror movie marathons, and that was one of them. I think we saw that with Humanoids from the Deep and Lust for a Vampire.
Oh, the Hammer one.
Yeah, just
that's
crazy.
One of the most beautiful women in the universe in that movie.
I have not actually seen that movie. I think I own a copy of it though.
I was trying to track that movie down forever, and me and him were at a Chiller once, and I found like a DVD copy of it. I was like,
yeah,
I have to have this because I've seen I have 1,000 vampire coffee.
That had the vampires got the goatee in that one, right? It's like the goateed vampire guy.
Yeah.
Or beard or something.
Yep.
I remember the cover. He's like, yeah.
So I got it. And then like a year later, suddenly it showed up on like every streaming platform for free. Like,
well, but then you get your own copy of it. That's
good.
Yeah, because they'll lose the rights, and then you're like, I can watch it anytime I want. So
yeah,
we're on the beauty of 80s horror. And your topic, I was like, come up with a topic that you want to talk about, because I don't think we could stump you. So the idea is you try to stump us.
I didn't know that
features.
Full moon, man. Full moon. One of the perfect.
Have you read this?
I have not read that. No.
First of all, you didn't read True Indie. You got to read this.
No.
I got to get you going, man. All right, I'm going to send.
I know. I will read. I will read them the next time I come on. If I'm allowed back on, I will have read them both. That's my vow. The thing with Band is that I read. There was another one, but it was actually about Empire Pictures, his prior company called. I think it was Empire of the Bees. I think was the title of that book. And so I do want to read that, because it's almost like, the next. Yeah. Well, that's from Band itself too, right?
And it is so good. I devoured this book.
I love Charles Band. I honestly do. I think he is maybe not but he to me is like, I put him up there with Corman. I mean, he was a defining figure of the 80s. If you want to really understand and get at the spirit of the 80s, then you have to go through Charles Band. There's no other way. I mean, just the Empire Pictures stuff alone, before we even get to Full Moon, is essential, with Reanimator and Dolls and Ghoulies and, Trancers.
Trancers. I've only ever seen one. No, I've seen 2 of the Trancers. I think there's 5, maybe.
There's 5 with Tim Thomerson, and I think there's even more after, but I've never continued. But
young Helen Hunt, Jack, in the first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. She's a baby in it.
Honestly, the first couple of Trancers are pretty good. The first 3, I think, are like totally worth watching. Even now, I think they still hold up pretty well. If you're just looking for like a B feature, 75 minutes, like, a little sci-fi with some cool effects, like low budget effects, but cool. Like, they're cool. They're good. They're fun.
And a little bit of comedy, a little bit of everything.
Tim Thomerson had like a kind of Clint Eastwood sort of, that's kind of the thing with Trancers, right? It's like if Dirty Harry was like a future cop that could travel back in time and possess the bodies of his relatives.
Yeah, that's the log line right there.
That's pretty much what Trancers is.
Make that movie.
But I wanted to talk about Full Moon just our preamble to this conversation. I think kind of covers I think, a lot of why I wanted to talk about Full Moon, which is just when I would go to the video store at that age, they were just starting out. So like I was just getting into horror, and the first one on the shelf was Puppet Master. And it's like, whoa, what is this? Look at these puppets. They look cool. And you know, it was like, and they're produced originally by Paramount, so they had a nice budget. They were direct-to-video movies, but they were nice-looking direct-to-video movies.
They always, one thing about him, he knows how to shoot a movie, or find people who know how to shoot a movie. They all look good.
Yeah,
they don't look like throwaway crap.
No,
even if the premises.
A little later on with Full Moon, when you're kind of, you know, what do? I got to keep the lights on. You know, that's kind of a different thing. But I can't begrudge that, because like it's so hard nowadays. But yeah, Puppet even Master, back then, like
Puppet Master is a like monument. Like that's a popular cult movie. Like
it is, and for good reason. I think it's really good, and the creatures, the puppets are you know, like you said, they're iconic. They've stood the test of time.
That's three. I got three movies in one when we were at Chiller.
Those are. I mean, you know, gun to head, like that's all you need are those. I've gone a little further, but like that's what you need. Like anybody that is like, hey, how do I get into Puppet Master?
Was pretty good.
What's that?
The Littlest Reich one.
Oh, the Littlest Reich is amazing.
Yeah, that's like an unofficial, because that was produced outside of them, but that was a pretty funny movie. Pretty trippy.
What's the name of the guy who wrote that? It's the guy who did Bone Tomahawk and
S. Craig Zoller.
Oh
wow!
Good writer. Bone Tomahawk is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's one I have to own. I have it on a list. I have it on a wish list, and I think what happens is my wife and kids look at it and go, "Oh, that's not horror. I'll just get them a horror movie." I'm like,
"Oh yeah," and how little they know.
It's on the list for a reason. So, what was, aside from Puppet Master, what kind of like made you a super fan of Full Moon when you were a kid?
I think like well, first of all, their videotapes were really cool. Because I don't know if you remember, but they were, I think, the only ones at the time that would, after the movie on the tape, there was a little making of.
Yeah.
So
right.
So when I was a kid, like, you know, obviously I didn't have laser discs or anything like that. And you would pop in the tape and it would go, hey, stay tuned after the movie for a look. And, you know, at the time it was like teaching me a little bit about filmmaking. Like I had no idea. So, they would talk about at a high level, like where the concept came from. They'd have behind the scenes footage of them shooting the movie. And some of that stuff is gold. And then it was Puppet Master. I think the second one was Meridian. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
With Sherilyn Fenn.
I used to love Sherilyn Fenn.
Well, you'll like it. I'll leave. You know, it's shot in Romania. It's like a gothic werewolf kind of love story type of thing with a lot of intimate scenes. We'll say.
I like it.
But it's a good one too. And then I think after those two, they kind of officially were like, they called it Video Zone, and they branded it Video Zone. And you would stay tuned and watch an exclusive Video Zone, and it was just cool. It was for me. I remember being like, well, that was my Friday night. Like you get the movie, and then you get like an extra 20-25 minutes of like, hey, what else is there? Like, and I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it.
I love that kind of stuff.
See, my thing is, I've been with my wife since 1987.
Yeah.
So, like, she was with me with, like, core. We're just watching tons of these. She hates making of and behind the scenes stuff. So it's always like, she shuts it off, and then I got to wait till she goes to bed or something, or wake up early in the morning. All right, now I can watch it alone. But Meridian, I know I've seen it. I just wrote it down because I got to watch it again.
I bet you've seen the cover. I mean, I bet once you see the tape, you'll go, oh, yeah. I've seen that around.
I wonder if that was filmed in his castle that he owned.
It was.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
You guys are making me think of something. I did a little homework for this episode, and I want to talk about another movie that was filmed in Romania and involves a castle. I watched Subspecies.
That's a fun movie.
So I saw that once back in the early 90s, and I'm a big vampire film fan.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing this buzz about like Subspecies. You got to watch that. And I watched it and I was like, what is this hokey movie with little claymation guys and a thing that looks like a flavor ring, like those.
Yes. That's the bloodstone.
The bloodstone.
Bloodstone. Yeah.
You watch your mouth.
So I watched it once back then and I got a kick out of it, but I was like, there's like a cult following for this. And the thing I thought about it, I was like, I probably saw that not long after it came out and it already looked like an old movie. It looked like an 80s movie and it came out in like 91, which isn't that far away, but like it had that video store feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched it yesterday for the first time in a million years. And I flat out had a blast watching it because now, I'm just like, oh my God, look at the little guys. And it's like Clash of the Titans and how melodramatic. And what I didn't realize back then was Angus Scrimm is in that movie at the beginning with
he's like
George Washington wig on.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, Jack, if you enjoyed it, there's more.
So from what I hear, Subspecies 2 might even be better than 1.
I think they've aged well, I think, because it's kind of like what Hunter and I were saying earlier, is it's like Charles Band, he produces good movies, especially at that, in that era. And, it's kind of like even going back to the beginning of our conversation, there's a baseline of like it was shot on film, it was shot in another country, and it looks really good now. Yeah. It did then, but now you realize what we don't necessarily always get. And you're like,
but they're shooting at a real castle and you can totally tell. I'm like, this has got to be Romania. And
I have to say this, 2 and 3 are good. They fall into that trap that all Full Moon started to fall into, where they would just shoot sequels back to back. And so you really don't have 2 movies. It's like one movie that they just kind of chopped in half. Yeah. It always rankled my OCD a little bit because it's like, well, that's not really, it's like, it's one movie. You just, but, and then there's a 4th one that's not so hot. But then they made a 5th one recently, like 2 years ago. It's really good. It's like their best Full Moon's best movie in like 15, 20 years.
Wow.
It's if you like the first 3, you kind of have to watch the 4th one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For completionist sake too.
You do. But then the new one's really good. And I was like really delighted that like it made me kind of feel like a little kid again, being like, oh God, like I'm like watching one of these and I'm really enjoying myself,
That is so good to hear.
So you should definitely, Jack, watch at least you're going to watch 2, then you're going to want to watch 3 because it literally ends.
As long as I can find them on streaming, and they're only a couple of bucks.
I don't think they're hard to come by. But they just look really cool. They do a lot with like shadows on the wall, and
they do a lot of very. I mean, they're milking Nosferatu, like the shadows and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as a fan of the genre, I'm getting a kick out of the love that they're giving, the tips of the cap that they're doing, even if it is ridiculous, but it's and melodramatic.
I'm looking.
That's a good one to bring up. I'm happy because I was going to bring that up. So
it's good to see something good came out, because this is nestled between a lot of, in the last 3 years, you've got movies that they've been putting out: Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, Evil Bong 888, Piranha Women, Femalian, Starlight Saga, Giantess Battle Attack, and 3 Baby Oopsie movies, which I'm not going to rag on Baby Oopsie because I saw the first one and I loved it.
I actually want to see the Baby Oopsie movies. That's more just a question of time, and I will absolutely watch those because I saw the
trailer for Piranha Women. That looks interesting.
I'm sure it's great.
They beat Marvel to the punch with Dollman versus Demonic Toys. They kind of went right into the team ups and in the shared universes, and that was, like I said, like I hate to be. it's tough when you talk about old movies, because I know we all come off as like, oh, back in my day, but
yeah,
but it's not that really. It's that like the landscape has changed so much that I think that what a lot of people, because even like my wife one day, we were watching a movie. I won't name the movie, but she's not a critical moviegoer. She'll watch movies, but she like looked at me one day, and this was a major movie that came out in theaters and stuff. And she goes, "Why does this not look like a real movie?" Like she was just like this, and I was just like, got me fired up because I was like, "Oh, you don't know, they used to make movies like this," and blah 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 blah. But I think that's kind of in some ways there is a little bit of that where like you look at a movie like Subspecies, which was a throwaway direct-to-video movie 30 years ago, and you go, wow, this looks good. It's stylish. It has a vision. There's real actors, makeup effects in it. Like,
yeah,
we took that for granted back then. But I think you look at some of that stuff now, and you're like, I just like what they're selling me.
There's a level.
Sometimes they don't even tell me that anymore.
And you know what makes a difference? Shot on film.
It does. It absolutely does make
shot on film makes a huge difference.
There's also, I think, for me, if I watched Subspecies back then, and I was just like, well, I was watching a million made direct for video things, and so it was just another that was okay or that was dumb. Watching it with my nostalgia glasses on, I'm like in my comfort place now. I'm like, oh, look how 80s this is. Look how 90s this is. Yeah. Oh, look, there's actual real torches on the wall.
Real fire.
Real
blood.
There's a scene where a guy hits like a torch with the sword, and it hits it like the flame like splashes along the stairs. And I'm like, that was probably pretty dangerous what they did there.
And that stuff is like enough. Like sometimes that stuff can just make you go, I'm in. Like, I love this. I'm having a great time.
And you feel like there's stakes. There's stakes in the game where you see that you're like, oh, Jesus. Like, what did I say? Oh, I just watched, what's that movie, Jack? Spontaneous Combustion. The Toby Hooper.
Oh, Toby Hooper. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Brad Dourif Carey.
Yes. And there are so many people on fire and actual flames shooting out of people and stuff. I'm like, damn, that's people put their lives on the line for this silly movie.
Do you know, like, I think the crazy, this isn't Full Moon, but like, I think the craziest example of that I think, like, when I went back and looked at it on when they put it out on Blu-ray, which I'm going back like 10 years now or something, but it was fucking Maniac Cop 2.
Oh my God. It's Bruce Campbell's in that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in the first two. Go back seriously and watch Maniac Cop 2. You can watch 1 too. It's good, but 2.
We just watched 1 on Joe Bob like a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2 is way better though. And 2 has stunts in it you will not friggin' believe. Like,
I thought people died. When I saw that, I said, man, somebody had to die.
In what?
In Maniac Cop 2. Some of the stunts, I'm
okay.
I think there's a dead person. They're just not telling us.
Yeah, there's somebody, they did like a stunt where a woman's handcuffed to the side of a moving car. Like the car is like zipping down the street and she's like there's a crazy burn effect. There's a guy, at one point Maniac Cop throws a guy through like 8 walls. Like, and it's just unbelievable. And I remember just watching that going, this is like the Terminator 2 of like low budget movies, where it's like you can't even believe the stuff they got away with. You're so far away from that now. It's like another planet in terms of just like you would, but what you were saying, Jack, is that it's like at the time Maniac Cop 2 was just, it was Maniac Cop 2. It was pretty good. And then you go off and you rent whatever else. We didn't realize that like one day you'd be looking at, stuff shot on an iPhone, and not to disparage that, because there are a lot of like creative people doing cool stuff on there. There's just a lot of bad stuff too.
And the CG now, like everything is somebody's just standing on platform, and there's a fake background, and they're just going like this.
Yeah,
Or
there's
like,
nothing.
when you have
yeah.
somebody actually like strapped to a van, smashing through a wall, and then like a dummy flies off it.
There's nothing like it, and nothing takes me out of it by more than knowing like, oh, this is just somebody with a green screen. Like I know I'm a hypocrite because I know somebody will say, oh, you like this movie, and it's like, yeah, no, there's always exceptions, but like just personally, my brain will tune out pretty quickly with that. I don't know why, but
no matter how good the CGI is, it doesn't fool us.
Right.
And that's why, look, Jurassic Park looks amazing. I just rewatched it recently.
Me too. I watched it with my kids. They loved it.
But I still like a Ray Harryhausen movie. I like a Ray Harryhausen dinosaur more. I don't know, because it's real.
Yeah, in Jaws, when that shark comes up to the guy in the pond, and so you see the shark underwater, that's got to be one of the most startling moments.
Yeah.
You don't see the full thing. It's underwater. This today they do a CG. It would be really fast.
Yeah, I used to remember like when they'd always say about Jaws, like, oh, too bad the shark looks fake, and I was always like, what are you talking about? The shark looks fucking great in that movie.
Yeah.
Like,
it
does.
That's
just a thing that people say, and it's like,
what you tell them? Go watch Ouija Shark, and then you tell me how fake the shark in Jaws looks. You brought up demonic toys. This was a movie that my wife loved.
Oh, she likes it. Cool.
We rented it so many times that the video store gave it to us. That and Witchboard. They were just like,
good.
Look, Tony Katane, I'm going to watch that thing over and over again. But yeah, that I will never forget. We went to rent and they were like, "Do you just want to keep it?" I was like, "Can we?"
That was like old back in the day because that was like a $90 tape.
Yeah, well, they made their money back, I think, just from us.
Yeah,
I think we
can retire this one. Get clear up some shelf space. This guy won't stop renting it.
Yeah, Jesus.
That's probably what they were doing. Was they needed the shelf space for some new stuff.
Exactly.
Right, and these are the only two schmucks that keep renting this movie over and over again.
Jesus, please take it off our hands.
I don't know why my wife has such an affinity for that movie, but she does.
It's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The baby, everybody likes Baby Oopsie.
Baby Oopsie.
Either Tracy Scoggins or Baby Oopsie. I don't know what.
Good old Tracy Scoggins. Where's she now?
I don't know.
Full Moon really got the whole idea of the DVD case marketing. A thing like Puppet Master or just the name and the image. Yeah. And guys like us who like, oh my God, Puppet Master? What? I have to know.
Oh, fuck, Seed People? This looks awesome.
I can't believe you just brought that up. I was just thinking about that movie. I was like, oh, we got to talk about Seed People because I hadn't seen it until recently.
Somehow I don't think it's as bad as they say. Like,
no, I thought it was a blast.
Yeah, like that one always gets crucified, and I'm like, it's just Full Moon doing body snatchers, but the plant things look cool.
Yeah, to me, I think a good double feature would be that and Ticks.
Oh, Ticks, yeah.
Fun night at the movies if that was your double feature.
Yeah, that would be an awesome double feature. I actually, where did you see Seed People? I was like thinking about how much I wanted to revisit that one.
I saw it. It was on Tubi, I believe,
cool.
2-3 years ago. Probably during COVID lockdown, where I was just watching stuff that my eyeballs melted out of my head, and my liver decided I can't do this anymore. Stop drinking. Go outside. Do something. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on Tubi because Tubi also has the Full Moon channel.
Okay, I'm on Tubi. I kind of just started perusing Tubi, and I'm like, this is the best streamer by far.
Yeah, and it's free, and I don't care about the commercials. Like,
no, it's fine.
I grew up with commercials, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like the preservation of, because I was just explaining to my wife, I'm like, we watched Biodome the other night on on Tubi. And I was just, it was like, because it had come up in conversation a couple days earlier on a whim. And it was just sort of like, oh, you never saw Biodome? And she's like, no, what is that? And, of course, that's just a good example of like, it's great that a streaming service had it, because we were just talking about, I wanted to show her, and it was like, oh, there it is. We could watch it on Tubi. No one else is going to have that.
No. Tim Meyer might have a steelbook version of it, but you'd have to go to his house to watch it.
If Tim has a steelbook of Biodome, he has exquisite taste.
Don't tell him that. We've been beating him down for years.
I can live with the Tubi commercials because it's a free platform. Now that I'm like turning on Amazon, and in the middle of it, there's commercials. I'm like, wait, I pay for this already.
Yeah, I got that with Max too. Max is throwing so many commercials on, it's pissing me off.
I guess like what you said earlier, Hunter, about, or maybe it was you, Jack, our time is finite. And I always, yes, I want to watch new good stuff, but more often than not lately, like I just kind of am like, I think I'm okay with just settling in with like a creature comfort, like something that I enjoy, that I've always enjoyed and still enjoy. And a lot of times like that scratches an itch that sometimes, newer stuff, when you're rolling the dice and you just get frustrated because it's not giving you what you want or what you used to get.
Yep.
I don't know. And so Tubi to me is like, I'm like scrolling Tubi and I'm like, oh my God, they have this. Oh my God, they have this. Like, that's a great feeling.
Tubi, you can never leave your house for the rest of your life and you're set. It's endless.
Well, doing all these podcasts and talking to people like you, it's always great when you're sharing things with other people, because you'll mention a franchise that I'm like, oh, I only saw the first one of that. Or, oh, I've never even gotten around to seeing any of those. And you start to put them on your list. So I'm sitting here writing down ideas like Seed People. I never saw that. I got to check that out.
That's
and the fact that like, love them or not, the fact that I can map out that like, oh, well, I'm going to plow through the Subspecies. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch them all, even if they suck. Because some Saturday afternoon when I'm folding laundry, I just pop that on, and
yeah.
Who cares?
Have you gone through like any full franchise based on somebody's recommendation yet?
For just any franchise out of
like something that like somebody recommended and that you were like, oh, I'm gonna get on this train. And
I like,
because some of those are hard rides.
Well, we're pretty good with the crapometer or something. We do get suggestions. We're like, no, we'll watch like a trailer. Like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Especially if there's 4 more to go.
With our other podcasts that we do, we have to watch movies every week. So sometimes we'll just do it to ourselves and be like, all right, our friend Jason does it more than us, or used to pick a franchise and do like all the Hellraisers. But Hunter and I are probably a little more into like, oh, I'm going to bang out like all the Universal this, or like I was just watching as many Hammer Frankenstein movies as I could find around Halloween last year. Yeah. And then like I got up to like one, and then the next one wasn't available on streaming. And I was like a little tired of Frankenstein movies. So like, I'm going to take a break anyway, but that's always like, for us, it's always like a good mission. So like the Subspecies is a perfect thing for like, okay, this next month, every week, I'm going to watch one of those.
It's good knowing there's a good part 5 waiting for you at the end. That's your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
I don't want to oversell it, but it as like a fan of Full Moon, it's had a lot of highs and lows over the years.
And
I feel bad because I'm friendly with some of the people that have done work for them now, on movies that I really, was mean to back in like my film critic days.
But
to me, it's like, I think when they hit it out of the park, it means more, because it's like, look, I'm not going to lie, guys. Like, I do like Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, the World War II, the first time they decided to do a World War II set Puppet Master movie.
Yeah.
I'm not so stoked on spending the rest of the franchise in World War II, with diminishing budgets where you really can't do much. you know,
Yeah.
and so like that's been kind of like a thing. And so when I sat down to watch Subspecies 5, and I'm like, they shot it in Romania. Ted Nicolau, the director of the first 4, came back.
Wow.
Movie looks great. They brought back, Anus Hove as Radu, and Denise Duff is in it. It's a prequel though, so they're not all. Yeah, but it felt like a real feature film. It was like
it felt like a return to form.
It really did. And I really like. I mean, I bought that on streaming, and then I bought the Blu-ray because I was like, I've got to support this one because I want them to know they did really well this time. Like. And I hope it did well for them because it really was, it was exciting, to just be like, wow, we're back in like 1993. That's kind of what I felt like. It was a great nostalgic feeling. And
nice.
I keep waiting. I want and my favorite Puppet Master is Puppet Master 2. It's just the one that I think that gelled. It's like it's the same setup as the first one. It's like we're back in that Bodega Bay hotel. Yep. We're gonna bring in more psychics, and now we're gonna have Torch, the guy with the flamethrower that's gonna light people on fire. We've resurrected the Puppet Master. He looks like the Universal Invisible Man. It's just it had it's like a really great intersection of the genre, past, present, and to me, it was like it's. I think it might actually be my favorite full moon movie. It plays like a really good slasher at the time too. They made the puppets more insidious because they're harvesting brain matter out of people's heads. It's just like everything you want in that kind of movie. And it's like, okay, that movie came out in 1990, and it's like I'm 45 now. I'm still waiting to go back to that milieu one more time. Just give me one more of those. The mean puppets doing mean things.
Well, hopefully someone watches this over there and says, let's give Matt what he's asking for.
That's all I want.
By the way, we're coming up on time, so I have to ask you if you've seen this movie. Not a lot of people talk about it. Head of the Family.
I have not seen that one.
Have some drinks on hand. Oh, actually, you don't need it because you're going to think you're drunk or tripping at some point.
Okay. And that's the guy that's just the head with he's on hands or something.
Yes. It's one of the most bizarre movies I've ever seen. I loved every single minute of that movie.
I'm disappointed I haven't seen that because
I thought if anyone would have seen it out of the three of us, it would be you. So I'm glad I'm bringing this. I'm ordering.
Jack, you haven't seen it either.
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it. Okay, so I'm the odd man out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm nodding yes, you should definitely watch it.
No, you're not. You're not. You're not.
Oh, he agrees. Okay. I watched it. I was out in my yard on my laptop on a beautiful day, drilling high octane IPAs, and I had the best time alone in my yard thanks to that movie. So.
That's the magic.
I feel like I watched it on Joe Bob. Was that one on Joe Bob?
That seems like too much fun for Joe Bob.
I definitely saw it, but
maybe old Joe Bob. Good. Maybe they did it on I don't know. Did they do it on the old movie channel Joe Bob or something?
I never watched that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back in the day. So yeah, all
right. That's a good rec, and that's a good kick in the ass because there's that one, and then there's one other one from the era, Shrunken Heads. I never saw that one either.
I never saw that one either.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down, Shrunken Heads. It's going to keep me busy. I got that, Meridian. I got to watch the Subspecies movies now.
Well, you'll like Meridian. Meridian's probably where you should start. I think you'll be on board with it.
That's awesome. All right. Now, we're getting right back to where we started. Feeders. Tell us about the book, when it comes out, where to find you, where to find it, everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's Feeders out May 20th. You can get it wherever, audiobook, paperback, ebook. It is about a 19-year-old girl who stumbles across a dark web social media app called Monolife, and we sort of follow her descent as she becomes increasingly addicted to it and the attention that it gives her. And I'll leave it there because it's very twisty and it's a crazy ride.
Oh, I'll be reading it. There will be a review on Final Guys as soon as I'm done with it. If you don't see the review, that means I hated it. No, I'm kidding.
I know the game. I know how the game is played.
You passed the audition. You can come back anytime you want.
Yes.
By the way, I'm gonna up it. If Jack or I pass away, which we've almost done in the last year.
Oh, stop! I know
you could slide right in and take over for one of us. So
co-host. I would love to come back, guys. I mean, honestly, this. I cannot believe an hour has gone by. Like, that's shocking to me.
I thought it was like a half an hour, and then I looked. I'm like, oh, we're almost an hour. So
yeah. I mean, to me, I was like, I could do another hour on this, but I'm happy to stop, and we'll reconvene when I've watched Head of the Family.
Yes, we definitely have to have you back. We're going to come up with some cool topics. The beautiful thing is, I don't think there's anything I can throw at you that you'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So that'd be great.
I'm not that arrogant. I bet there is, but you know, I'm definitely still learning. I'm watching stuff all the time, like Head of the Family. Like I've got to check that one out. So
I discovered spontaneous combustion last week. Didn't even know it existed. So
spontaneous combustion's a good one. You know, Toby Hooper, like, he was solid all the way through. Like, people were like, you know, people are mean about his non-chainsaw, non-poltergeisty stuff, or Life Force, but it's like, I like the Mangler, for God's sakes.
And my favorite is the Funhouse, which is playing at the drive-in by me tonight, but it's a crappy, rainy thunderstorm night. I'm like, I'm not.
Same here, yeah. Same here. It's terrible out. It's been pouring for about 5 days here. So, you know,
same thing here.
Some obscure made-for-TV vampire movie he did that I was a fan of.
Something with a lot, some vacant lot or something.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Salem's Lot.
Who wrote that one?
That was
Teen Kuntz.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, man, it was awesome having you on. You were definitely coming back, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
so
that's fine. I appreciate it, guys.
Everyone go out and buy Feeders and read it and review it. Put reviews on Amazon, for Christ's sake.
Please enjoy.
and the people watching, put down your favorite full moon features, so we have some ideas of what else we should be watching.
Yeah, because that's going to help us.
Because I'm interested. I want to follow this along on YouTube also and see what people are picking, because I am a nerd for full moon. So I'm just curious, like, want to know what everybody thinks.
And me and Jack are always looking for movies for Final Guys. So the more we can get, the merrier.
Yeah.
Well, there you go then.
All right.
Jack, take us out.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Matt, thanks for joining us. And we'll see everybody next time on
Monster Men.